call the Three Sisters?
Yeah.
It's beans, corn, and squash.
Yeah, my sister was doing some research with that. I mean, I know a lot about cyclical cropping and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's what everyone should be doing. This is like, and this is why I started recording, is because this is why, hey, what's up, everybody? I don't even think the last episode that we recorded, we didn't even introduce ourselves.
Hello, Jelly Patrol.
Should we just start using our names? We just start telling people our names.
You did say my name earlier where you said Collie B, so...
Yeah. So I'm Connor.
Connie Cha-Cha.
Yeah, my name's Connor, and that's Collie. But yeah, so I've been like a huge proponent of this because I am a firm, not to start out on a dark note, but we'll lighten up towards the end of this because we got some actual like cultural commentary for once this week.
You're listening to Chuff Chat.
What's up? Welcome to Chuff Chat.
I wanted to throw that in once in a while. Like
no, yeah, for sure. Welcome to Chuff Chat.
This is Chuff Chat.
Chuffed.
Get chuffed.
Chuffed.
Are you chuff enough?
I'm gonna see if I can. I might be biting the. I don't want to bite the Sloppy Boys podcast because I already kind of bit them because I took their idea of sometimes they use Apple loops. You won't have heard it yet, but I put out an episode. No, yeah, episode 4. It's already out. I used Apple loops.
I'm like 25 minutes
behind some of us talking. I just put in some of these like free Apple loops of music. Just.
Oh, did you? Oh no, yeah, the jazzy kind of.
Yeah, and I do that. I do that later in the episode too. With like when you're talking about the Mega Money Show, I put like a background track on it.
Oh, that's nice.
But I also the Sloppy Boys do this thing. Jeff Dutton has an album called Duts. Like that's his artist where he's just him doing pop is his art called Duts.
Fuck yeah, hell yeah.
And he's got this one sound clip that he plays where it just goes Duts, and it's like all radioed out. And like I was going when I was doing Chuff, I was thinking that in my head, and I was like, oh damn it, that's already a thing. So I got to find a different effect. Did you work? I gotta find something.
Yeah, no, that's an homage. Anyway,
but yeah, so I've been a huge proponent lately. I've been trying to push because I live in an apartment, so I've been growing everything I can on the balcony of the apartment. Mm-hmm. But
all you need is leg room.
Yeah, exactly. At my parents' house, they've been growing a lot of veggies and like getting the garden beds and stuff set up. But I've been like pushing them to like, we need to grow actual crops out there.
Staples.
If we could get chickens, we should fucking get chickens. Like, we just need to fucking plant some shit out there. Because,
how much does your yard extend beyond the pool screen? To the lake?
There's no screen anymore. That's all completely gone. Like, you haven't been there in a while.
I have not.
And and it doesn't go out to the lake, and they have their yard fenced out. But like from the house, there's like a good, I would say like 10 feet of just like yard, and then there's flower bed not included in that.
Giant tree there still?
Yeah. But they have a bunch of crops there, and I brought some pepper plants there. This is what you were saying about the cassava plants. Mm-hmm. So I brought some pepper plants there and planted them, and basically just kind of let them go and forgot about them. And peppers are effectively weeds. They are hardy. They just kept going.
But they do require a lot of water to grow well.
They didn't grow big and bushy, but they're still producing peppers and shit like that. So it's just
that's cool.
I've been trying to, and this is where all it's coming to is like we are about to lose so much of the quality of life that everyone's used to because of the economic things that have been happening.
FDA
cutting out. Well, not just FDA. Well, FDA is actually a good one. So I'm actually not even just talking about like being afraid of the food that we're getting served because they're cutting regulations on it.
Or do you mean like if they're going to impose laws that you can't grow your own?
No, I just mean as far as economically.
All the food is poison. All the food is poison.
Like so much of our they're completely destabilizing supply lines with all the tariff shit because and like that'll only lead to the one thing that'll lead to, or the most sure thing that'll lead to, is less access to food because so much of our food is grown globally and shipped in.
You're saying that me having an avocado tree during the tariffs makes me a king.
Yeah.
Because I got the avocados.
Yeah, once we're 3 years in and we're all fucking having to smelt our own pig iron in the backyards and shit like that, people are going to be like, oh,
like
yeah.
Valheim.
People are going to be like, oh, man, I wish I had fucking listened to Connor on the fucking Chuff Chat. Because,
specifically.
Because you would have had, like, I've been telling you now, start growing shit, start harvesting shit. Harvest all the shit. I don't know how loud your backyard and shit is, but like if you could fucking put bees back there, like and then if you had bees, you can make your own honey. You can make your own wax for candles, for lighting shit. You can make your own like all this stuff that you could be doing, and that people could do to have like a mildly self-sustaining household, like people need to start putting
what
in
you're
the
saying
work
is
to
if
do
you
that.
have the ability to homestead where you are, don't
Yeah.
even worry about getting some acreage, this and that, growing cows, this and chicken. If you can do it in your backyard, my neighbors have chickens.
Yeah, because I just don't.
I had chickens once.
You should. I mean, people should. Like, if my parents are worried about the dogs, and I agree, but like, I think that they should fucking get
the
chickens.
dogs
and
will
shit.
adapt.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The dog. Remember when I lived with Brad and Heather? We built a chicken coop in the backyard, and we brought my dog, their dog Zoe, and a pit bull that wasn't even our dogs that we were just watching.
Yeah.
They all behaved around the chickens.
Yeah.
And that's because we don't watch them. I don't know if you leave them alone, they behave, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so
sorry.
we got to do it. I'm really pushing people because I know it's not realistic. I mean, like I said, I live in a fucking apartment. It's not realistic for me to be moving into a house anytime soon.
I know
or
what
to
you
be
mean. It's
buying
not like
land.
it's not like being a doomer. It's just being economically
Any way that
intelligent.
you can do it, like, because you can grow microgreens in your own house. There's a lot of things you can grow indoors.
Mm-hmm.
Even just as simple as like getting a shelf and then getting some LED lights and growing some herbs on a shelf in your house. Like anything that you can fucking do to offset the fact that, like, to be a little bit self-sustainable to where you're not relying on supply chains.
Right.
Because in the future, it's just going to be less and less.
If you use onions, you can use the little stem to regrow it. Same with garlic. If you have
all that
use
kind of shit
ginger
that
all
you
the
can
time,
do, like any of the
can grow
things
that
that you
easily.
can, any of the shit that you can do
Radishes,
to repropagate
turnips,
stuff.
all root vegetables, you basically can just sprinkle in the ground. They grow on their own.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause,
easy.
like-
It's easy.
Yeah, so like Thomas Jefferson and all those fuckers, like founding fathers, they had this idea of like the way that America will be economically prosperous is that we'll continue to expand out west, and then everybody with this new westward expansion, every American citizen will have this little plot of land that's called the yeoman farmer. Like he wanted everybody
Yeah,
to
I
be a
remember that.
yeoman farmer, and they're all going to have their own little plot of land and to be their own economic powerhouse.
Live a very rugged frontier life.
Yeah, and exactly. And so that's obviously not the case for a long time. It's going to have to start being the case.
Yeah.
Because like we're going to be in a situation where we're going to be like really reversing quality of life because of, again, I don't mean to be so doomer at the beginning of the podcast, but like we're going to be really reversing quality of life and shit. So people should be developing some fucking skills.
Plus, let's be honest. I mean, to go in a different direction, I guess the reason I enjoy growing plants is because I like to know that I like to know where the food that I want to eat comes from. I'm a vegan, obviously, so I'm a little more biased as opposed to raising an animal to kill and eat or use for their byproducts. If necessary in survival, 100% I understand. But I really love the idea of growing a seed into a seedling into a little fucking sapling, little tamito.
Yeah.
It grows into a plant, produces this little fleshy reproductive nodule, and then it's something that can sustain you, or you can eat, or you can replant with the seeds inside. It's like a really wonderful thing because it's very self-sufficient, it's natural, it's organic, there's no guilt or weirdness behind it, as you could have with animal products. But I'm not trying to shame anybody about that.
Like I won't like.
I just enjoy the experience of growing something, taking care of it, nurturing it, learning about it.
I won't generalize for
It's symbiosis, I enjoy that.
I won't. I don't know.
Maybe I'm lonely.
I'm not a woman, so I won't put this on women. But men love growing things.
Yeah.
Like men love.
I know a lot of plant
like
girls.
my.
dudes just-
Well, I know a lot of plant girls too. So I don't mean that, but like specifically crop. There's like a male crop.
like
fantasy.
industrial. Like I want to grow a million of one thing.
No. Like my dad is this way. What you're describing is how I am too, and my dad is also this way, and so is Roy, my brother-in-law. So like it is we're all the same way. To where like we all like when we have when I have fruits and shit like that, when I have peppers and shit growing, and when now there are tomatoes on the patio, having the blueberries on the patio and shit growing, like being able to pick off a blueberry, I love it,
dude. It makes you feel.
I love it. Yeah,
that's what rich
yeah,
is.
it's like this is what. Yeah, exactly. It's good to have land. That's what it feels like.
Yes,
That's what
exactly.
it feels like. It's like
No, yeah. There's nothing really better than going like, oh, I need this for this thing I'm cooking, and then just walk out to your yard and just snip something, and you're like,
that's
$0.
that's my whole philosophy.
Sunshine and
is
water.
I planted a bunch of shit
and
that I
nitrates
can
and
at
shit.
least make a sauce with. Like I've got sweet and hot peppers, I've got tomatoes, I've got basil, I've got rosemary, I've got garlic. I can make a sauce with all that, and it'd all be just pick off my patio.
Here's another thing I want to point out with what you said too is that when you can make a sauce, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can preserve the foods that you make too.
Have you seen Mickey 17?
No, I have not.
It's
seen
a
that.
sauce movie. There's a lot of sauce talk in that movie.
Oh,
but
really?
Continue. Yeah, there's a lot of sauce talk.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. There's a lot of movies that I need to check out, like that one Novocaine or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, that looks fun too. Yeah.
But no, I mean, just to go back to like the homesteading kind of, it just kind of, it's a pipeline you go down. You're like, oh, I grow one plant. Next thing you know, oh, what if I grew this and that? And what can I
Yeah.
do with it? And then you start pickling shit and you start, preserving things or making jams or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you can really, it's just fun to see how something comes from that seed, goes to a plant, comes into a fleshy thing that, or whatever, like some reproductive, what do I keep calling it? Fruit.
Yeah.
And then you can turn that into something, even if it's the inedible stuff that you can turn into like, I don't know, like rope or I don't know what I'm even trying to get here. But you can always use something from it. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm that same way too. That if I had to survive and eat off of meat off the animal, I want to use every little last bit of the animal that I can.
That's what I like about the whole idea of bees. Is like, so you keep bees on your property, and so this is why I know that my brain is so fucking thoroughly cooked, is because I wish I had bees so that I could make honey, so that I can make my own mead. Boom! I don't
Yes.
have to buy alcohol anymore, so I
Boom.
can make my own mead, and then.
You can do that with potatoes.
I mean, yeah, I could, but the problem with all that distillation
Vodka.
shit is you have to like buy all the equipment to like
Yeah.
turn that shit. But
It
with
looks like
mead,
fucking Heisenberg in here.
with mead, exactly. With mead, all you do is you just pour the honey and water
and let it ferment.
and let it ferment.
Yeah.
Like just have to get the fermenting stuff for
That's
it. And
another
it's the
thing.
same way with kombucha and shit.
Yeah.
Like once I could brew some tea with the plants that I've done. I could let a culture form with it, like getting I could
The yeast.
yeah, you could get I could get
Bacterial,
I could grow ginger out here, and I could grow like ginger bugs so that I could make my own like probiotic sodas and shit like that.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah, that's cool. I just love the idea of being intrinsically connected to the material earth.
Yeah.
Like just understanding, like for example, wood. You look at wood and you see just, oh, that's a piece of wood, instead of like the fibers and the pattern of growing, the chemicals inside that have to flow, and the environmental factors of how the plant grows.
Yeah.
Animals that either
well, all the
they're-
fucking BS that we got pushed by the plastic and like shit in the
Right.
industry about how like, oh, save the trees for don't cut down on, but it's like no, actually like lumber is sustainable.
Yeah.
You just plant more trees.
Yeah.
And you plan ahead. You create
stagger it over the time.
Yeah, you stagger it over time and you create lumber farms and stuff. And it's all
Right.
sustainable because you can fucking regrow it. You
Right.
know what's not sustainable is petroleum, which is what you use to make plastic.
Exactly.
So like when you have all this like real furniture that's made out of actual wood and like all that kind of shit that you actually like exactly like that you actually like have that's actually what's sustainable shit that
Yeah.
like people may feel like that we've got tricked into feeling bad about for some like weird like liberal environmental sensibilities, and in reality it's like no, that's like there's a video online of some like some like British right winger guy interviewing some like British like leftist like Twinkie looking dude, and the guy's like, oh, but I believe I heard that you work as a carpenter, not a very globally friendly profession
chop
there.
down
And
trees there,
the
don't you, bloke?
guy's like, well, yeah, lumber's sustainable, concrete's not sustainable. So yeah, working in love, you can always grow more trees. And he's like, oh, what? He's like,
Steel mill, yeah.
and it's like, but that's true. Like,
Is there a return? Is there like a reciprocation involved in your manufacturing of the product, right? Like if you're manufacturing steel or plastic, there's only just outcome, which is the product and the emissions and all of the stank. You can't harness all the stank and the fumes and the pollution and all that and the waste and byproducts to recreate steel again. Like,
yeah, whereas
it's a weird
like,
example, but you know. What I'm trying to say.
Whereas like with lumber, a tree, like when you cut down a tree and process it into a table, all the sawdust can be recompressed. All the scraps can be recompressed. Like the sawdust can be sold for kindling. Can all be recompressed. The excess bits can be burnt down and used and
Right.
create for charcoal.
All of that you
Every
can
aspect
utilize.
of the thing. It's like I've been.
But you can regrow the tree too because
we
the
can
tree
regrow the
itself
tree because
gives
it's
you
seeds. It
a
gives you the
right.
means. It gives you more means to grow more.
Right.
And
Still
especially
can't
if you
regrow itself.
biologically engineer them to be like heavy seed producing trees or some whatever fucking because we engineer everything. Like we could absolutely have farms where we've engineered the seeds to where it's like low foliage but high seed producing, and
Right.
it produces a lot of wood. It's as opposed to like,
Exactly,
and then you know you just thicker trunks and you whatever. But you know, and I watch these fucking videos of these like autistic dude out in fucking New Mexico or Arizona who's fucking gathering clay up and then processing the clay. Or gathering dirt and processing the dirt into clay that he uses to make ancient style pottery.
That's awesome.
And he's fucking
That's
putting
so
it in a
fucking
kiln, and he's just like doing all the shit to where I'm like, everything in the world
Yeah.
can be made from the world.
Exactly. It's already here and it's been here, and it's like weird to see this like artificial.
It's the most
false
fucking
shit.
hippie bullshit, but it's true.
Yeah, it is.
The more I grow, the more I see everything I need is free.
Like the idea that like you and I could make bricks, you and I could use heat to make. We could use wood to make fire, to heat up clay to make bricks, to make a bigger oven, to make charcoal, to get bigger fires, to then smelt ore. Like that's literally how
That's
it
crazy.
fucking progressed. But
Yeah,
we
yeah.
could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're given enough time out in the woods, and
That's
like,
what I think is missing. A lot of people don't have those like hands-on type of materialist skills. Like, how do I carve a bowl out of a hunk of wood? You know,
Yeah.
like how do I make a fork or a spoon out of
and that's
a slab of wood? You
and
know,
that's
isn't
the
it?
great thing about fucking like YouTube is that the reason why I know all this shit is because YouTube. As soon as I look up a thing, okay,
The
so I have a
algorithm.
lot of jasmine flowers out there that I realized isn't the kind of jasmine that you use for tea. So the jasmine that I bought specifically to make jasmine tea, it's not used for tea. It's specifically a fragrance jasmine.
yeah.
So I'm like, fuck. Well, how do I distill my own oil to get the fragrance from all the flowers that I'm using? And there's all these YouTube videos
Yeah.
about it. Well,
That's
as
true.
soon as so I could make my own candles and shit. Going back to the
wonderful.
bees, if I had bees that made wax, I can make my own.
Yeah, right.
I have
Your
my
own
own
wax
wax
to put into
as
candles.
opposed to having to buy candles. And if I grew
Right.
cotton, I could make cotton, or even
Garments,
if I grew hemp, I
yeah.
could grow not garments, but the wicks, so I can make a candle
Oh,
from
I see, I
scratch.
see.
If I had bees, if I had all the shit, and if I fucking dug up the clay to make the pot, I can make a candle holder. Think about it, like. You can fucking. That's every way that you can make a candle from the things in the earth. You raise some bees. You harvest when you harvest the wax. You use the wax to make the wax for the candle. You have grown some cotton or something or some weed so that you have hemp, and then you use the hemp or the cotton to make a rope to make a wick, and then you fucking you dig up some dirt and you process that into clay, and then you make a small little bowl for that, and then heat it up in a kiln, and then heat up that wax and pour it into the thing, and then boom, you have a candle.
Yeah.
Like all from shit that like is ostensibly out in the world.
I think we take for granted how easily everything is put together and just put on a shelf for us. You know?
Yeah.
And we don't really do a lot of deconstruction of how it got here, or even the concept of, let's say, a candle, in itself, and like how it comes together in general.
Yeah.
I think that maybe for me that was what the veganism kind of did a push for me to kind of deconstruct my reality. But ultimately, gardening kind of made that concrete for me, because that was like, oh yeah, that there is this process from point A to point Z. And all you have to do is either be exposed to it or just imagine it.
Yeah.
And that's what impresses me the most about the human innovation and imagination over countless millennia. It's just to figure this shit out over, and it can't just be. Sometimes it's one lifetime. Sometimes it's passed on through generations to improve upon itself. But that's what I think we're so disconnected
Well,
from,
it's
that
a huge-
human interconnectivity to
It's
nature.
a huge thing that you learn from food culture.
Exactly.
Is
yeah.
that all food, every single process involved in what we do now for food. Oh, I mean, you're not referencing the vegan thing, but everyone loves bacon.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the whole bacon comes from needing to salt and use every aspect of the pig
To preserve the
and
meat.
to preserve the meat. So you smoke the shit and you salt the shit and you let it sit and you have a
Exactly.
piece of meat that you can use for an extended period of time without
And that's
going
a survival
bad.
food.
And it's a survival thing. Or cheese is a great example
Mm-hmm.
of them trying to fucking figure out what to do with the separated curds and whey that
Curds,
happened one
right.
day when some shit went bad.
trying to make some
or
butter.
alcohol is the fucking best example
Mm-hmm.
of this. Like the amount of things that I'm looking up now where I'm like, how do I make fucking rice wine? Like, how do I make sake?
Sake, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like there's a fucking weird ass white dude on YouTube who has videos of being like,
Right, right.
and here's why I never buy sake again. And it's no fuck. Is it
Big
like the
city needs
second
me.
episode that like?
We'll probably skip it a couple times. My bad. Yeah,
Yeah,
6
no,
p.m., dude.
no, it's fine.
Sake.
But yeah, there's like a white dude who like his whole thing is he has a house where he built a bunch of shit. Obviously, you have to have a certain amount of money to begin with.
Right,
to,
there's
like,
some luxury involved in
but
that.
like I'm doing it, and I don't have like that much money. I'm like
You just have an interest in
I
it.
have an interest, and I'm trying to be innovative. And I literally listeners can't see this, but my fucking patio where I'm growing, where I have guava, blueberries, multiple peppers, basil, mint, rosemary, all this shit, and where I still hang out and like have room to chill and stuff, is 10 feet by 6 feet.
Yeah.
That's how fucking it's
yeah.
10 feet long, 6 feet deep. That's how big that space is, and I'm growing, and I'm able to like grow that stuff. Sure, it takes time, and sure, it takes like labor to do all that shit. But it means that like I haven't been buying basil. I haven't been. This is like the most like grind set hustler we've ever.
Truly.
This
These are
is
the keys-
truly like.
These are keys to innovation.
Yeah, we're doing like
Maestro.
we're doing like the
This is how you
Patrick
really-
Bet David, like we're doing like keys to success right now, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like-
Masterclass type shit.
Are you gay?
Me? No.
What do I need to do to convert?
Yeah, I'm listening.
What do I need to do to convert you into being gay?
It's truly
go.
like we're doing like, oh, you know, because this is gonna sound shitty. All of this stuff that I'm doing to like save money, I'm like manically putting that money I saved back into the market because I'm like,
knew it was
I'm
gonna
just
come back to
fucking
that.
scared. I'm just so fucking scared. I'm hedging
that's
my
funny.
bets both ways.
Yeah,
so
it's
where
good.
like I am,
Start stuffing your
I
cash
am
in a
like
mattress.
I am like growing. Well, I just got a fucking notification that gold went over $3,500 an ounce.
Gold, they've been pushing gold a lot.
Yeah,
this
because
past week.
people are scared, so they are going to precious metals. And you and I talked about this recently
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
where
yeah.
it's like we gotta start buying gold.
Yeah.
We gotta start buying silver.
Oh
we
my
gotta start
God.
doing all this shit. And it's like it's so not Marxist, but it's like me, like it's my way of like fucking doomer prepping because I think like
Dude, you're subjected to the world you live in. You know, I mean, fuck.
I just think that no, I mean you're right. I mean fuck.
I mean,
It's-
fuck.
it's
What else
fucking-
is there
it
to
is
say?
truly that bad.
It's I really can't even admonish or shame you because that's really what you have to do in a world like this is try to find a way to make the best money to get out of poverty, but just not like be a fucking asshole about it. That's what you're conditioned to do in capitalism.
Yeah.
It's just to make your way to the top and then say goodbye to the past or to the poverty. But yeah, I mean,
It's the reason I got out of art. The reason I stopped making art, if anyone listens to previous episodes and fucking goes to, I for some reason plug my Instagram. If anyone, my wife keeps messaging. If anyone goes to previous episodes and like hears me plug my Instagram, and goes to my Instagram, blah blah blah, and they'll just see a bunch of like what I think now, what I look back on now, and I made it. All of the art that I made sincerely.
yeah.
But like where I'm at now, I just view all that art as like vapid infographic style shit because it's just stuff that
Like derivative or something?
Yeah,
like,
and not just not derivative of anything in particular, but just derivative of the desire to have my shit seen on the algorithm.
yeah.
So like because
So that was your ambition.
and my
to
ambition,
do that.
and so I started making art that I don't think I have no bond to now, that I don't feel connected with, and the art that I feel wholly alienated from, because like and got
you feel
and got a following. Like I peaked at like 4,000 followers, and because I don't do art right now at all, they've like slowly
Right,
bled.
and it was
But
a
I
big
still have
boost.
like 2,000 followers as just like someone who never promotes shit, never puts shit out, never does anything. Just from art. I mean, I met my wife through doing art and all this shit.
Yeah, she did.
But-
She did art too.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
She does art.
Yeah, and it all comes and like it all came down to like I had, when I really think about it, I had petite bourgeois aspirations of what if I can make art and then get enough traction on my art to sell art, and then what if I can quit my job and just make art?
That's what I'm
And
saying.
I
I
think
can't shame
everyone-
you for that. You know,
It's
not your fault
I'm
that you
shaming
wanted to do
myself.
that.
No, I don't blame myself, but like I do shame. Like I'm making a conscious effort now to not. I just
do it
don't
for the sake of making money.
Yeah, I don't make any art for the sake of making
Yeah.
money, and I will never make art. This podcast we are going to monetize, and I do want to make money off of this eventually.
Well,
If
this
I
isn't
could-
exactly art. It's commentary.
It's,
It's
and
like
the-
philosophy.
yeah,
almost.
it's not. I don't have any auspices that you and I are making
Yeah.
art.
I don't care if
Yeah.
I've spent hundreds of dollars on my bands, and I know that they're not ever going to make
Yeah.
that money back. But it's because I love doing.
Yeah. Or my pedals. It's the same way. I put a lot of money. I think I've made all my money back in pedals at least. But like it all comes down to me having petty bourgeois aspirations
to escape the fucking matrix,
I don't want to
bro.
Yeah, but because exactly, I want to escape the matrix. I don't want to fucking. It's why I put money into the market. It's why I play bullshit games. To make 10 cents to get to when I hit level 20, playing some fucking merge game. Because all of that money I see in my brain is a dopamine release. That means this is an escape. I can escape my reality if I make enough of this like small change here and there, invest enough, get lucky enough. I can fucking get out of
working class.
Yeah,
poor.
I can get out of having to work, 40 plus hours a week, and my back hurts all the time, and I'm fucking stressed out.
Yeah, I've been there before. Where I'm like, if I could just somehow generate income that pays me at least $4,000 to $5,000 a month, I can live.
Dude,
better than I live now.
If you and I just had the fucking we need to monetize this podcast because if you and I had the fucking $470 a month that the unit now costs,
it would make things a lot.
It would make things a lot easier.
That's kind of my point, though. When it comes to my ambitions to making money, is I can temper my desires, and I know a lot of people could probably say that, especially before they got rich. They're like, I would never want to make more than I need, because I can control my desire to make more money. And it's like, well, when you get rich, you're just like, well, why not make a couple $100,000 extra dollars,
Yeah.
Why not do this and just do a speech or something like that so I can make a couple bucks,
Well, it's like how Stallone does art. I love Basquiat.
Hey, this is Basquiat.
Yeah, I love Basquiat. There's a picture of me in the style, but it's Rocky. It's Rocky, but if Basquiat was like...
Dude, I was watching Guardians last
Hey,
night.
Basquiat would have loved Rocky.
Yeah,
Andy Warhol, he would have loved Rocky. He would have loved Rambo.
I think you would have said Rambo. It's my favorite movie.
We've never talked about Stallone on the podcast. How
okay.
you and I love Stallone.
You got me so into Stallone. And I was a big Schwarzenegger guy first.
Yeah,
so that's why I would always
we've
suggest.
talked about Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
I don't know.
love Schwarzenegger.
This episode might come out before the episode that we talked about Schwarzenegger. Depending on how I release everything.
Oh yeah,
but
we just love big, dumb, beefy dudes.
Oh my god, yeah, we love action stars. I love
the dudes from the 80s.
I love Van Damme.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
And fucking Schwarzenegger does that thing where he's like, oh, the positive corner of the internet, where he he toured Auschwitz once, and I swear to God, we've talked about this in an episode, so I'm sorry to everybody, but you'll hear it eventually, or you've already heard it. But he's like, he toured Auschwitz, and he was like, wow, you never knew that hatred like this could exist in the world, and you tour a place like this, and you just need to be positive. And what he took from that, isn't like the horrors of fascism or anything like that. He was like, wow, we need to be positive. But like Stallone's like a Trump guy and all that kind of shit, but he's not like a piece of shit in the way that like Segal is a piece of shit.
Oh, Segal is such a Putin-sucking fucking simp.
Segal is a fucking like insane son of a bitch, and then he has
and a fake kendo master
and has a lot of Aikido.
Oh, Keto.
Yeah,
okay,
Keto.
Right,
yeah, those videos
Kendo's
of
the
him,
sword,
the
right?
videos of him fucking just like flipping people, just like
the master
fucking,
techniques.
He's fucking fat, and he's got that like Count Orlok like hairstyle where he looks like Bela Lugosi with a painted on like widow's peak ponytail, and he's like fat as fuck, flipping people that like, and they're like going flying. He like barely touches them, and they like go fly. Yeah, those are some of my favorite videos on the internet.
Seagal, Stallone, Schwarzenegger.
Oh my god! And he's got that one song. Have you heard? Holy shit!
What's it called? I know
Strut.
exactly what you're talking about.
Strut, where he's like.
He has a whole
she
album.
like the punani and she make me nice.
Yes.
Steven Segal, and then he's
Is
like,
it him doing that?
Well, there's some lady, and she's like,
Mr. Steven Segal, fly down to Jamaica and say one of the baddest gal.
Steven Segal, and then the master, and he's like, and when I got and then he comes in and he's like, I want to see you, Strut, and then she got the punani and it make me nice, and he's like playing guitar and shit, like that's word for word. He's like the punani.
That's
I
like
wanna touch your body.
It reminds me of like a Popo Zao from Kevin Federline. You don't know that one?
Yeah.
Zao, Popo Zao.
Dude, the fucking.
I love white dudes doing foreign kind of style music.
Oh man, I mean, fucking. The Chet Hanks, like the White Boy Summer, like that. There's a reason why that caught on so much, and why people were like so fascinated with it. Because even if they were like morbidly curious with it, there's something about white boys doing bumbleclot talk that like tickles the brain. You know
We're
what I mean?
touching all
have
of our
you
old
seen
episodes.
that one? Yeah, I know. We are the fucking most repetitive. You and I have like
We have 6
you
topics.
And we and I have fucking nothing new to add. Everything is Bulbaclot. But like, have you seen that one white guy who's like I think he was born in Jamaica because I think he actually talks about this. But he does the like. Have you ever seen Meet Joe Black?
Yeah.
Where it's
Yeah,
Brad Pitt and he's like, oh, Heidi, when he's like talks to the lady and and she's like, I know you the devil, and he's like, it's not that time at the Heidi. He starts talking like that. Yeah. Well, there's this one fucking like white guy who looks like fucking Adam Friedland, that like is TikTok or YouTube Shorts famous, where he's like living in Jamaica and he'll just like stop like random like island people.
I know exactly what you're talking
and
about.
he'll
Yeah,
just
that
be like,
fucking guy.
he'd be like,
The mustache dude?
He'd be like, my girl acting
My girl-
mad bomba. He'd be
my
like,
girl acting wild and bomba.
and she want to be talking to
What
flirty
what
with
fish
them. Yeah.
I'm gonna be butchering that. I can't even do it, dude. I'm like stumbling over
We
myself.
have to stop.
It does
We're
get
gonna
racist after a
canceled.
certain
We're gonna get
point.
so canceled.
We're having so much fun, and we're too pale to be having that much
I
fun.
don't even remember how we got to Bombaclot talk.
We were making fun of that's the ADHD. In us
Oh, we
right
were
there.
talking about Stallone. We started
Schwarzenegger,
talking about
Seagal.
Seagal
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we were talking about Stallone.
Me want the body, him want the punani.
Why did we start talking about Stallone?
Stallone.
and
I was
art?
doing the Stallone accent for no reason.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's
Oh no! It came back to the. So yeah, we have petite bourgeois aspirations. Like neither of us wants to.
This is a masterclass in deconstructing our ADHD.
Yeah,
too.
like
Let's-
to be like, okay, wait, how did we?
Wait, hold on.
Boomaclot talk
Trace our
came
steps.
from Strut by Steven Segal. We got into Steven Segal from talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme
Mm.
and Schwarzenegger. We got from Schwarzenegger from talking about Stallone. We got to Stallone from doing a really shitty impression because we were talking about like if we were rich, we wouldn't buy more than we needed.
Yeah.
But in reality,
I wouldn't buy more than I need.
yeah, it's called lifestyle creep. It's where like the more money that you make, the more money that you think you need to spend. Like they talk about that. Like as soon as you start
Yeah.
making enough, that you're like, oh,
You
well,
ascend
I
a tax
should-
bracket.
Yeah, as soon as you like go up a tax bracket, you can suddenly like people find a way to convince themselves that like, oh yeah, I need to like become a member of this like club, or I need to buy a new car that's got a much higher
establish my
payment.
status.
Yeah, there's all
Right.
these different things that you do to kind of justify your like class, your class anxiety and all that like kind of shit. So like I worry that I would be a victim of lifestyle creep for sure, because like I do like material things, and like spending money gives me that release. Like when I'm depressed, spending money makes me feel good.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. I mean,
Bussa out the wallet, making me feel good.
dude, if I had more money to spend on dumb shit, I'd be drowning in dumb shit.
Yeah.
You know? And
And then we'd be in the same fucking boat that we're in now, where we have to work all the time and keep fucking grinding and have like non-profit foundations and shit.
this was that movie I was trying to reference that one time where I was talking about if you had all this millions of dollars to spend in a day, how would you spend your day spending it? It's called Brewster's Millions from 1985.
Oh
It says-
shit! And it's with Richard Pryor.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, and it's I just
Yes.
got a clip from that,
Did
and it's
you?
an old guy being like, "Listen here, you black motherfucker!" Like, and he's just like,
Christ.
he'd be like, "You want to fucking, you got to spend this." He didn't really
Dude,
say that,
yeah.
but he's like, "Listen, if you're gonna get 300 million, but he tells him like you got to spend 300 million, $3 million a
He has to
day,
spend it within a
can't get
specific
it
time.
away, and you can't have any property, blah blah blah. Like, what would you do?"
Wow.
Like-
yeah. No, but I mean, yeah. Not to get on a different topic there, but
No, but realistically, like I know exactly what I'd do. I was talking to Julie about this recently. If I had the money that was started, if I had Elon Musk money to where
Yeah.
I could make real changes in the world, I would fucking like parody. I would fund like militias around the world.
Yeah.
I would like let like
Revolutionary
left wing militias and like Maoist militias in the third world. I would
Yeah,
pump
yeah.
money
In Minecraft.
into. In Minecraft, I would do all these things, and then the main thing that I would do, like, I want to get my electrical, all my electrical certifications and all that, because I have this thing where if I ever made money with all my stupid schemes,
yeah.
I would
Yeah.
probably move to Mexico, like live in like Mexico City.
Mexico?
Yeah, I would move to like Mexico City or like maybe Canada or somewhere in this hemisphere, but that had good relations with Cuba, and
Okay, I
I
see.
would work with the Cuban government to set up solar and clean energy power grids all over Cuba, because they deal with. It's horrible the kinds of power outages that they
Yeah, I
deal
know.
with because of the embargoes and shit like that. So I would do what I could as a private citizen, would do what I could to fund, like, even if I lost money on it, I would do whatever I could on the side that generates the capital, whatever bullshit that generates capital.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I would do what I could to fund
Bolster the
it,
Cuban
to
people.
bolster the strictly
economy.
just power
Oh, the
grid
infrastructure
shit.
and the
infrastructure
grid, yeah.
grids, because they are so, they have, you know, in during COVID they developed I don't know if it was three or five,
Myrna
but yeah,
vaccines.
3 COVID vaccines that were all successful. Two of them I want to say are nasal and inhalant, that are just nasal, that you don't even have to take them for a shot. All effective treatments for COVID, and they're under a medical embargo.
Yeah.
So like they
They're
have
using what they have.
their biotech industries and things like that, like the biodiversity of Cuba's reefs, like the things that they've done as far as ecological
And
protection
conservation
and
of
shit
them too,
like
yeah.
that. Like I would do whatever I could to.
That's what I
like-
was saying. My first thought as well was to go back to Cuba.
That would, yeah.
But to live there would be very difficult, obviously.
Yeah. I just don't know how much of that I could get done. Like
In
I don't
there,
know
yeah.
how money works. Like I don't know how stupid this conversation is going to sound from the outside. But
Yeah, as
like
far
yeah,
as
I don't know how money works on a broad scale, like because there's an embargo. If I was an American citizen putting money into anything in Cuba, I would be committing a crime by doing that.
Right, yeah. There's no imports or exports.
Yeah, exactly. So I would have to be a citizen somewhere else. I would have to do that, and then
That's why I'm
and then
following you.
yeah, and then so I don't know if once I have that money,
You'd
so
be
it's
essentially
fucked up.
smuggling solar panels and shit.
Yeah,
into Cuba,
that would
yeah.
essentially be like what I'd have to do if I was
You
a
have to
US
create an
citizen.
illegal fucking
Yeah.
liberation.
So that's why I'd have to
occupation.
move somewhere where it was legal for me to work with the Cuban government.
right,
but
right.
even then, I don't know if you knew this, but if you work in the U.S., you pay taxes. Even if you work out of the U.S. country and
Right,
live
if you're
somewhere
still a
else,
citizen, right?
you pay tax in the United States. And if you give up your citizenship to the United States for 10 years after living in the United States and for 10 years after being a citizen, you still pay a remittance tax to the U.S. I watched this whole thing of a guy from Europe
Gotta find the
who
laws.
lived and worked in the United States for a while. He had to pay U.S. taxes when he moved back and was working remote for a U.S. company.
Yeah.
He had to still pay taxes in both countries. And then when he finally canceled all the ties to the U.S., you are still on the hook for another 10 years after that, paying some
That's
sort of
insane.
back tax in the accumulation. Yeah. So no matter what I did, if I'd have to earn billions and billions and billions
Yeah.
of dollars
It would have
because
to be
I would
Elon
be
Musk
paying,
money,
I
literally.
would be paying back to
You
the
would
U.S.
lose
government
all
no
of your
matter
money.
what. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be paying back to the U.S. government no matter what. But like that is when I think about like, oh, if I had a scenario like that where I had free infinite money, how would I spend that money every day? Well, that would be my answer, is that I would fund left-wing governments and left-wing militias, and then in parity. And then I would work closely with Cuba because it's something I'm passionate about, to maintain the socialist nature of Cuba's government.
What suit?
Everybody says you always have
Dice
a
que todo el mundo
bulletproof vest.
dice que usted tiene un chaleco a prueba de balas.
No. Voy a desembarcar así en Nueva
I
York.
will land in New York like this.
Tengo un
I will
chaleco.
land in New York like this.
Tengo un chaleco moral.
I have a moral one,
Moral
a
vest.
moral vest.
Qué fuerte.
It's strong.
Socialist independence as well.
Yeah.
From
Well, it's written into their constitution. Like when Bush was doing not even Bush. Carter. No, it was during the Bush years, but Carter, as a private citizen, had given a speech in Cuba to where he was a proponent, like talking up this initiative. But there was a movement during the Bush years in Cuba to where, because Cuba is part of their constitution, that any 10,000, if there's a petition with 10,000 or more participants, you can make a proposition to make an amendment in the Constitution.
Oh, no way.
And so there was this U.S. funded propaganda push to propose
An amendment against that?
democracy amendment to the Constitution to basically undo the socialist nature of the Cuban Revolution.
As a stipulation to remove the embargo?
Yeah, that's always part of what they're doing. No, it's not just that. They just want to put pressure on Cuba because they want the socialist Cuban government to fall.
Yeah.
Because they want Cuba.
'Cause they want
it
install
for
their own
imports.
dictator.
They want the agriculture. They want all the shit that Cuba has to offer.
Right.
It's something we've always wanted, in the same way that we want dominion over Puerto Rico still. we just have always wanted Cuba since Jefferson.
I mean, that's why we
since
have
the
Guantanamo
founding
Bay.
fathers. Yeah, exactly. Since the founding fathers, you have to read. Everyone should read Ada Ferrara's Cuba and American History. It talks about how inextricably linked Cuba and America are. For those of people who don't know and are listening to us talk about Cuba all this, me and Kali B are both Cuban. Like, we have family that are Cuban, and it's like part of our.
It's part of our entire DNA.
Part
just
of
growing
our
up listening.
it's part of our whole cultural identity now, because like even the parts of us that are very gringo and white,
which
they are all
very stark.
they were all placed there as a reaction to, like, I never learned Spanish growing up because the Cuban part of my family, they had all kind of stomped that out. Yeah,
it was an
assimilation. Yeah,
assimilation.
they were trying to assimilate as much as possible.
That was the thing, you know. I grew up,
and my family came over pre-revolution. Like, my family's been over here a long time.
Oh, before the revolution.
Yeah, my family came over turn of the century. That's how, like, so my family was in Cuba.
So after the Spanish-American
after
war
Cuban
and all that.
independence. So we came over in the, like, 30s, 20s and 30s. But we had been there. Our family had come from Spain, and then we had been in Cuba since the early 1800s. And then so basically about 100
like
years.
Spaniards.
We had but we had 100 years in Cuba, and in that family tree, because my mom's done all the genealogy. In that family tree is like Taino and like
They're
So
they're
we
obviously
have
interbreed.
we have indigenous people, and then we have non-Spaniard Cubans, and all in Cuba,
Afro-Cubans.
Yeah,
right,
before they even come over, and then pre-revolution, turn of the century, when the Batista shit starts really popping off.
In the 30s was when all the corruption was really rampant. It took place for years.
Yeah, this was pre-Batista. I can't remember. I think his name was Maduro. Not Maduro. It was Machengo.
Machado. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it was Machado. But that was when my family came over. So
Okay, gotcha.
I am spared I'm spared the Guisano right-wing Cuban reactionaries, because we weren't Cubans with land.
I noticed I never really didn't get to interact with the Cuban side of your family too much, but I noticed you didn't really have that same experience that I did.
Yeah, because they all came over before revolution,
Right.
so there was no reaction against socialism.
Dude, I don't even think the Cuban side of my family left until '64, which was obviously many years after the revolution.
Yeah.
So it was like you were there for a while. It's not like you were put to the chopping block immediately or anything.
Well, hey,
I
let's give people a fucking. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying I don't want to get too deep into that and criticize my family for
No, but we'll get into the history of Cuba for people that don't know. Like, this is something we're passionate about. Like, people don't realize that there's a whole project called the Pedro Pan Project. Jeff Bezos' stepdad
you're right.
is a Pedro Pan kid. The Elia Gonzalez and all that shit. Well, he wasn't a Pedro Pan kid, but there's a whole movement. There was a whole thing that happened where backed by the CIA and all that shit, the Catholic Church put out these memos and shit in Cuba, heavily implying that the Cuban government was going to take away parental rights, because the Cuban government, the revolutionary government, the government, had started implementing land reform. They started doing educational reform, doing literacy campaigns, all that kind of shit. Well, as part of while all that was going on, they basically started doing a misinformation. The CIA and the Catholic, with the help of the Catholic Church in Cuba, started doing a propaganda campaign to convince Cuban parents that the Cuban government was going to take away their rights and would be taking their kids. So the American government facilitated
the exile,
the stealing of all these tens of thousands of Cuban kids, and to where and then to re-assimilate them.
That was the Pedro Pan project?
To Pedro Pan, to bring them over to America.
So they actually took the kids from their parents in Cuba.
Sometimes
them
with
to
the
the United
parents'
States.
consent, sometimes with one of the parents' consent,
Oh my God.
sometimes with neither of the parents' consent, and family doing it. But no matter how it happened, it was kids through a misinformation campaign. Facilitated by the U.S. government, kids were taken from Cuba and ended up in America. And a lot of these kids, when you listen to Blowback, shout out to Blowback Podcast, in their season about Cuba, they interview one of these Pedro Pan kids who's a activist now, and he talks about the psychological effect of not having a family, not being connected to your family, because it's not in many of these cases their family didn't come over.
Yeah,
they just sent the kids.
That's fucking
and so you have no
crazy.
connection to your family, and you're either staying in foster situations or with extended family, and so it really does like there's generational trauma that's formed.
Yeah.
and it's also
This is in the book?
Yeah, it's in the book, and then it's also if people don't want to listen to a book about, they should listen to the Blowback podcast. They're friends with the Chapo guys. It's Noah Colin and Brennan James, I want to say, but they do awesome exposés into American, like history of American interventionism.
Right.
Like the whole idea of blowback is that like
the Red Scare, CIA.
whenever America intervenes in a place, there will be blowback from that intervention. So they go into Iraq.
Oh, okay, that's
and
the
the
whole
fallout of what they go into the history of the Iraq War and the fallout of what happened because of that. They go into the history of interfering with Cuba and the blowback that ensues because of that. They go into Korean War, all that kind of shit. They do Cambodia. They talk about us getting involved in Cambodia.
Motherfucker.
So yeah, I mean, shout out to that. But yeah, people aren't aware. Cuba's 90 miles off the coast.
Yeah,
people are not aware.
A few hours.
There's less distance off the coast than there is from Tampa to Orlando.
Yeah,
like people don't realize that how inextricably linked Cuba is to American history, and how much that country is utterly oppressed by just purely ideological reasons. No true material reasons.
It's just strong arming.
There's only two countries.
Collapse.
There's only two countries a year that vote in favor of the embargo, and it's America and Israel. Only two countries in the past,
they get their say.
In decades. Those are the only countries that have voted for the embargo. Every other country, when the UN comes to vote, like to continue the embargo of Cuba, every other country says no. The only countries that say yes are America and Israel. So if that doesn't tell you all the fuck you need to know, like
so that's why Cuban revolutionaries have always been sympathetic to the cause of people in Palestine and Sudan and any oppressed peoples and nations where they themselves are in a position, if not worse than what especially the Palestinians.
Dude, I'm gonna do a whole. This is gonna be a whole 360 coming back full circle, but this is the main reason why reading the books by Cuban and Latin American and Chinese proletarian, not people in power, but
that are not drenched
people
in the
who
propaganda,
are in the proletarian
anti-communist propaganda.
No. Like I'm talking about like just people on the ground.
Oh, like the regular everyday people.
This is how I got into the sustainable living, is that the
Chinese farmers.
They're the Chinese farmers and making pig iron in their backyard during the Cultural Revolution. No joke. There is tons of writing from the Chinese and then from Cubans of what households had to do to offset the fact that, like, Cuba during the special period when the Soviet Union fell and Cuba had to deal with that.
I would watch videos about how people would tinker and make their own interesting items.
You have to do what you have to do. Those videos of like those Chinese TikTok farm videos of like this watch this African guy invented. Use the use their Tic Tac bottle and a fucking Sprite can to make a supercomputer. Like those videos. Well, those are like real in a lot of countries like Cuba and shit like that, where people
this
just
guy
have
built
to
a car out of wood and sticks.
That shit's real in countries where people have to have a sense of ingenuity.
You have to be industrious and innovative and resourceful with what you got.
And this is like a message to like our PSA to our listeners. I'm sorry, this is like a Connor High Horse episode.
That's all good.
But like this is just a PSA to our listeners that like this is why I'm advocating for people to be as self-sustainable and to figure out what they can to
I agree
to not have to rely on global economic supply chains. And
hey,
shit.
nerds, you still got to farm for crops in Fallout 4 when the world ends.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna get your fucked up tomato plants. I don't even remember what they're called.
Oh, the tobacco.
Tomato, baby.
Come on, people.
Don't push. There's plenty of tobacco for everyone.
Or your mute fruit or whatever. But either way, you gotta learn. And it's like that's what I like about those kind of games too. Let's go on a different tangent.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about too, like those little games where you have like the survival games, like survival sandbox kind of things. I know that kind of takes away from the seriousness of the of the.
Well, I like the
illusionary
survival
talk.
mode Skyrim almost more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
'cause
forgot that's a
yeah,
mode.
the
I
survival
almost-
mode Skyrim where you're just like you have
You're-
to eat.
you're
and
hungry as
you'll
fuck.
get cold,
freezing. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. And that's speaking of that.
I don't know when this will come out, but like I finally got the Oblivion remaster.
Oh yeah,
It's like
didn't that come out like fucking yesterday or something? Like I don't know.
Well, I was saying finally because I don't know when this is going to come out, so I want
my
to.
bad.
So just no. I mean, let's date this episode. Yeah, it came out yesterday, and the way that these episodes work is like I'm
Sorry.
going to try and release
Get away
them.
with sauce.
No, we're towards the end of this episode, so I want to.
we
I'll
are.
part the kimono for a second before we talk about the Oblivion remaster.
Okay, let's go.
But to part the kimono, the more topical an episode is, the more I have to like go out of my way to try and get it out and edit that one
Oh, right,
faster.
right.
So
As relevant as
we
it
have
is.
2 episodes. We just released episode 4. So that'll give people an idea of how fucking backlogged we are. But we just released episode 4 and we are right now recording episode 8. So
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So
That's because we're doing these twofers.
but we're doing twofers, but
should
so
drop a twofer
episode
once in a while.
I'm thinking about dropping episode 5 real soon. But so episode 5 and 6 are not, I don't think that topical. I think we're just mainly bullshitting about general shit. So I think that those might come out after episode 7. Episode 7,
Yeah.
which we just recorded today, it will probably come out after episode 4 and will be
Yes,
and will be
that's
episode
fine.
5. Because episode 7 is particularly topical. We're talking about a lot of shit that's
Right,
actually
right.
happening right now. So episode
Relevant.
8, I know we haven't been totally topical, but we have to fucking talk about Oblivion.
Oh yeah, no, I'm all ears because I was about to dive into this. I've been replaying Oblivion in anticipation for this, so I've been in my shit.
And it's still so broken.
It's janky as
It's
hell.
so broken.
That's
People
kind
will
of the
fucking
allure.
dude. I've been doing some stealth missions because I'm playing a thief build,
Oh, hell
and
yeah.
like I've been doing some. Well, I'll elaborate. Well, actually,
Are you using no weapons?
No, I just don't have any equipped right now, and so
okay.
she's like posted
Just
up.
barefisted.
Yeah,
just about ready
but,
to knock my ass out.
Dude, I was thinking about doing a monk where you could do no weapons.
Oh,
The
that'd
no
be
weapons
sick.
monk build seems pretty cool. But no, I'm doing an arcane. I'm doing like what I'm calling like it's a spell sword. So, but like it's a rogue. So it's like a magic rogue. I don't know what the archetype for that is. I don't know. In Baldur's Gate they have like arcane trickster, which is
Yeah.
the magic rogue. But I don't know how. So I'm using like illusion and alteration spells, and then some
sneaky
some
bastard.
destruction for combat. But then sneaking around with a bow and arrow and daggers and swords and shit.
Classic, like just maximal.
Yeah,
stealth
spell sword
build.
shit.
Yeah.
But then light armor and everything. But yeah,
Okay.
because I'm doing a thief build, I was sneaking into a house. And the guy that I snuck into the house of wasn't supposed to come back like in the time frame, and then he just popped back up, and then he's just standing in front of the fucking door, and then he would
can't
just
see your
walk back and forth between 2 spots for no exaggeration, like 10 minutes of me scrolling on my phone,
Waiting for
like,
him to go?
waiting for him to move so that I can fucking leave because my stealth skill isn't enough to sneak past him, and I don't want to fucking reload the save.
You can't wait. I thought you could wait in the game. Or you forget about that.
Oh yeah, I did. I forgot
about that, dude.
Yeah.
You sit there for like.
But
15
you'll walk into a fucking tavern and there'll be no one in the tavern,
Yeah.
and then suddenly every NPC will spawn right at the door
Yeah,
at
I
the
know.
same time.
It'll be like 8 a.m. and everyone
Yeah.
goes to the bar. Yeah, I know.
yeah, it's fucking insane.
No,
the
I love
game
that
is
game
so
so
broken.
I understand the Fighters Guild is hiring new members. Not bad work for some folks.
I see. Bye.
Take care. Greetings.
I love that shit though.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's so fun. It's
Well,
so fun.
it's obvious they didn't improve the AI, and I don't know if they've improved any of the physics mechanics.
I
haven't
don't
played
think
it. No?
this is the theory.
had to try
This
it.
is the theory that people have been touting online is that that they potentially just reskinned everything. Well, they definitely reskinned everything. This isn't a theory. They definitely just reskinned it. This is not a ground up rebuild.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't.
I was gonna
like,
say because the magic system is one of the most confusing fucking things. If you can get
They-
most of the spells, hundreds of them.
Yeah, it's insane to me. This is already insane to me because I wasn't too Oblivion versed. It's been so long since I played Oblivion,
Yeah.
and I maybe had one playthrough of it tops, as opposed to Skyrim.
You potentially could play more Oblivion than Skyrim. You
Oh,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
for
as far as
sure.
the content. You know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm already finding that now. I'm wondering if I should just burn through the main quest and then do what I do in Skyrim. Because Skyrim, you
Oh.
can do everything you can do everything.
Yeah.
And then and like it. I mean, I've
And then
put
get into
thousands of
crafting
hours
or-
into
yeah.
Skyrim's one of those games to where for the longest time I only had that's the only game I had,
And
I
you could definitely vibe out to a
Yeah.
game like Skyrim. It's just a vibes intensive game.
Well, just like when they added mods and like I said with survival mode, like just walking around and like one of my favorite builds to do is it would be like a hunter build to where
Oh, yeah,
like
you go
I
and
would
hunt for your
just be foraging and like selling my goods and I did no quests.
I used to famously do I don't know why I said famously. I used to do the chef run through, where that was probably one of the most fun I ever had because it was really hard. You have only like a cleaver and as a defensive weapon, and you have to go out and hunt and look and forage for every piece of ingredient you need for a recipe that you're trying to make.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the hardest playthroughs I've ever done too. But
Well, that's like when you try to do a pacifist run.
yeah, exactly.
It's like it doesn't
right?
work.
Yeah, well, I think there are ways you can do it, but I don't know.
I'm sure there are ways you can do. Have you played Baldur's Gate 3?
Not 3. I've played 2 a bit.
Yo, that's insane to me. This, I guess this will be kind of topical because an update just came out, so I've been playing it again. This is a very rare. I'm doing a very rare. Maybe it's because it's getting hotter, so I'm not outside as much. But I'm doing a very rare video games Connie.
Yeah.
Like I'd rarely play games.
Yeah,
like
same.
throwback to like episode 1 or 2 where I was talking about the emulator that Julie got me.
Oh, I just recently burned through Star Wars Bounty Hunter.
Oh
Fucking
yeah,
love that
I love Star Wars Bounty Hunter. That game rips so fucking hard. That game's so good.
It's so hard though.
Yeah, it's really hard. And I like. There was one part of
I
that
call it
game
my Dark
where I
Souls.
just never ever got past it.
Same. And
Yeah.
I finally did. And I'm like, what the fuck? I did. Like, I fulfilled a childhood dream of mine.
Yeah.
Recently. I was like,
Yeah, I need
But
to
anyway.
get. Well, that one's streaming. I need to get back into that. It's on PlayStation Plus. But
yeah, they did. Yeah, they remastered it. Yeah.
but yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. That's a fucking amazing feat of a game.
Yeah, I had
It's
to try.
have you ever played XCOM?
Have I?
Have you played
is that
real
the
time?
Alien game?
Yeah. Have
think
you
I
played
did, yeah.
real time strategy game? Not real time, but like the turn based
the-
strategy games where it's like you move the players around physically on the
That
field.
is RTS.
Is it RTS? Yeah.
think so.
Where it's not like you move like units around. You'll have like in XCOM you'll move the specific. You'll have
individuals.
like a sniper and an assault rifle guy
Yeah.
and a thing like that, and you'll move them around.
Okay,
You're,
yeah.
You're going around a city, and then they have movesets and shit. That's how it is in Baldur's Gate 3.
There's a game called Kenshi that's like that as
Okay,
well.
yeah. I haven't played a lot of games like that, so I don't have a good
Right.
I don't have a good barometer
Reference.
for what good reference points for it. But the way Baldur's Gate 3, it's a 1-for-1 D&D. It's all
Okay.
D&D shit. So you're familiar with everything in it.
Yes, absolutely.
And then so like it's just like you'll have a radial menu. The combat is turn based, and then you have all the you'll be a warlock, and you'll have all your warlock spells, Tasha's hideous
You can
laughter,
pause
all
the
that
game
shit.
and all that stuff.
You can pause the game, and then but you have so many options. There's tons, like thousands of dialogue options. There's tons of side quests.
Wow.
There's like all these different routes you can go. There's a whole There's a whole playthrough called the Dark Urge playthrough, which is like you can customize your own. So there's all these origin characters you can play, which are classes that are already made characters for you. You can make your own character, and then they have this Dark Urge character, which is the entire storyline of the game. But I'm gonna spoil this for people who haven't.
Spoiler.
But the Dark Urge playthrough is that you are an evil spawn of this malevolent god, and you have lost all your memories. You don't remember being this hell spawn of this god.
yeah.
And
Same.
every night you're interacting with the world and doing the same quests as everything, but every now and then you get this inner monologue that's trying to get you to do this evil fucked up shit.
Right.
And then there's like these other side quests that happen. So there's all this shit that they've thought of. And it's like truly, truly fucking expansive and like really scratches the itch for like
I like that.
playing WoW alone and
To
stuff.
give you the combinations of different spells that you could possibly use, but it makes me think: did they record every single line for all those different thousands of different?
Dude, yeah,
'Cause
the
I'm
voice,
wondering, I'm
the
like-
acting is fucking amazing.
Wow.
Like it's truly a feat. It's
Like,
an
I wonder
absolute
if
feat.
AI has to be involved or something.
No,
in
no,
shit
no,
like this
no.
anymore.
This was like,
or if it's going to be at this from this point. You know?
yeah, it's just the dialogue trees are, they are what they are, and
You mean like there's just like so many potential options? Like
yeah, so I don't
outcomes?
mean that
Okay.
there are thousands of options for one thing.
Okay, gotcha.
I
Sorry,
just mean that like, so you'll be talking
took that literally.
you'll be talking to a guy, and then let's say like in the previous town, you helped some kid rob someone, and then so you're talking to this guy in this next town, and you realize that like he now has a quest for you that is involving like the kid from the previous town, and is like a chain of events. And if you had never helped that guy, that kid, then this quest would be easier or have a different outcome.
Like it wouldn't have
or
activated.
like you get a fucking egg for some race, and if you could give that egg back to that race at the beginning, or like when you meet a bunch of these people, you can give that egg back to them, and they like do their thing with it. Or you could give it to some researcher, and then in Act 3 of the game, you come back to this place, and the egg is hatched, and some mayhem has been caused because of the egg.
Oh shit!
And then
That's
like
cool.
you would have completely missed that. It's exactly like D&D. So we're like,
It's just I always wonder too, how the fuck do they map out that dialogue like that, like the outcomes,
dude, I mean, clearly there's only a certain amount of options that you can have, but it like in those options, there's
can do a lot, yeah.
there's so much that like. It's true. The writing is so good for what it is, and all the performances are good. It's a great game.
So it
Yeah,
reminds
as
you of,
opposed to the fucking Oblivion,
Elder
it's where-
Scrolls, but
dude. I found out today that the Oblivion dialogue was the way it was recorded was the
Like
voice
3 voice
actors.
actors.
Yeah, it's like it was like 15 people.
Yeah.
And there's thousands and thousands of lines of dialogue,
Dude, yeah.
and they got all of their lines in alphabetical order. So they're not even like
So
okay,
they're just reading them
it's
one
not
after
that
the
they
other?
got a sheet where it's like, all right, you're about your day, Mehrunes Dagon.
Yeah.
Here's all the lines you'll speak.
You're
as
reacting
Mehrunes
to
Dagon.
dying.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing like that. It's just it's just a cat was here. You could
Did
be
you hear that?
anyone. Yeah, did
Yeah.
you like? And it's literally that, and it's all 40 different characters in a like that you're having a voice. And in the fucking video, I'll have to edit it in, but like in the video, I'll edit in a clip of it in the chat. But in the video that I was watching, the lady was like, and they even left in an voice actor asking to retake her line. And it's true. You see this lady that they're talking to, and she's like, they went to the spellcaster's tower. There could be blah, 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 blah. Oh, man, I don't like that. Can I retake that? They went. And they're like literally in the game. Like it's programmed into the game.
That's hilarious.
Heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night. Wait a minute, let me do that one again. I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night.
So yeah,
Dude,
Oblivion. But that being said, like all the commentary of people online right now who are like, "This is a new game, but it plays just like an old game."
What? That's the real.
That's what everyone's saying, and it's like, no, it's good. It's good.
No,
It's
no,
good.
no, I
Walking into a fucking bar and they all spawn on top of each other, and
Yeah.
then suddenly they all like every NPC is dead, and you've broken a quest line. That's good.
That's hilarious.
That's good.
I love that shit. And the goofy ass shit you can do with the spells too. Because like I said, there are hundreds of spells that you can unlock.
That's what I'm
And
waiting
combine.
for. When that's what I was gonna see is like when I realized that there's like a spell crafting like mechanic
Yeah.
in this game that isn't there in Skyrim. I was like, oh, this will be fucking.
No, this game and some of the previous, especially like Morrowind, there was so much shit that you could do that makes Skyrim look like fucking baby food. You know?
Yeah, I think they do that. I wonder why.
They
what
made
the,
it
like,
accessible to a larger audience.
Yeah, that must be it. It's same with like Monster
Capitalism,
Hunter,
baby.
where like the best monster, like the most successful monster hunters are the ones that are the most dumbed down, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you can't do as much cool shit in this one. Yeah, Monster Hunter is another like game series that I really like,
Yeah, never got
but
into
there's
that
like
one.
not as much cool. It's like not as much cool shit. The one that I think is Rise is the one that got. Or Monster Hunter World was the one that like broke the seal, and now like
Yeah.
American audiences are getting into Monster Hunter. Damn, we're doing a fucking video game podcast right now. Holy shit!
Well, it is, you know.
Which is so misleading because I'm not into video games like that.
I really
anymore.
don't play video games that much either.
Yeah, it's so misleading. But like, so
that's
Monster
why we're so
Hunter-
into this conversation right now, is because we got to get it out.
Yeah, we got to figure. Yeah, exactly. We just don't fucking deal with it.
Return to normal.
But Monster Hunter World was like the first Monster Hunter where you didn't have to go like 40 menus deep to get an item in the middle of combat. So so I think that because it was accessible in that way, that's the one
you
that's
could
the
use
most.
like a live menu or some
Yeah,
shit.
that's the one that's the most the most accessible. But there are a bunch of things that you can't do in the newer Monster Hunters that you could do that are more creative in older ones, and that's I think the same trajectory that Elder Scrolls went on, is that like Skyrim is more dumbed down, and not dumbed down in the way that like Dark Souls got easier, but they didn't get less complex.
Yeah, it wasn't as expansive.
Skyrim is less complex than Oblivion.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's like conditioned in us because of these games, the old clunky games, or if it's just something that we like to do. with these games where you manage a menu and you just look through pages and pages of all the shit you have? Because it's like, is it that you like seeing what you have, or
it's the Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Do you remember Resident Evil 4? You get a suitcase and you have to.
Oh, and you travel through the suitcase.
You have to fit things into the suitcase.
Yeah, just like
it
with
was
Diablo.
A grid. Like it was a. Is that how it is in Diablo?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's my. I never played much of Resident Evil.
There's like a grid in Resident Evil 4. You get a suitcase and the suitcase. So like a gun, it's like Tetris.
Yeah, it would
it's
take
a
like
grid.
a little shape.
A gun is like a little L.
Little L shape.
Yeah, a little pistol is an L shape. So
A
you have to
candle
fit
would
it
be
in
like a
there.
little-
Yeah, exactly. And they even made a game, like a standalone game. No, I don't think it's a Resident Evil game, but somebody made a game that is a briefcase management game in the way. In the style of that, because I would do the same thing. Even when I played the remaster of Resident Evil 4 that came out a couple years ago or whatever, I would still spend a lot of time just sitting there
managing
moving things around and like even to points where I wouldn't need to at all. It's just I'd be like, well, I want to have all the ammo next to each other.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, half the time it's because you're over encumbered because you're grabbing too much shit.
Yeah.
And then the other time,
I get over encumbered so fucking much in this game.
It's crazy because you got to put all your points into strength.
Yeah.
And even then, you still.
That's
have
not my build though.
Yeah, I know exactly. And then, but then sometimes you're sitting here, especially with Oblivion, with the icons right here. You're just looking at all the shit you got. You're like, ooh, weather ward circlet.
Yeah, to part the kimono. We've been the entire time I was playing Oblivion up until the point where Carly B got here, and the entire time that we've been recording, the 2 episodes that we're recording, my character has just been like my ugly ass level 3 character has just been standing and hovering.
She posted up. I wouldn't say she's ugly.
She's waiting for us to. She's waiting for us to get off.
She kind of looks a little like Lena Headey, you know.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Tiny bit.
Dude, the fucking models, the face models in this game,
they're still janky.
They're so bad.
Yeah, they were used to
because they just remastered them.
Yeah,
they didn't make them look better at all.
What I hated about
they
them
are so
is
fucking ugly.
They have the craziest like slanted, pointy up
crazy
eyes.
slanted eyes,
Like,
and
what
like
the
their
fuck?
mouths will be like, bah, bah, bah. Like I mean, it's you can't see it on a podcast, but
Yeah,
it's absolutely fucking bad
I
shit
feel like
to watch them.
Okay,
it's
so-
the most uncanny valley.
$60. How much is it?
Yeah, it was $60 for the deluxe edition.
About $60 to play a game I already played. Well, I guess it's an experience.
Nah, don't buy it.
No?
Don't buy it. You gotta pay, you gotta
Wait for a sale.
Yeah, and unit rent's coming up, so wait till after
true,
the unit.
yeah.
You wait till after we gotta pay for the unit.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a first month of we're gonna have to pay $235 each for a fucking air conditioned unit. These fucking bastards.
Yeah,
They've been raising it on us. I think they're trying to kick our bands out, but they're not gonna get us. We
They're not
find a
gonna get
way.
us, yeah.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way. Yeah. And I don't see why we were much more respectful than we used to be before their ownership.
Oh
too,
yeah,
you
for
know?
sure. Yeah, we're
But
this,
it-
we, they haven't having to threaten. They used to have to threaten to kick us out all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And they haven't had to do that in years now.
Yeah, because we're not just dumb idiots throwing
Anything-
beers.
Anything you want to hype up, or you think we're good?
Music stuff.
We're all on the same page. We got nothing.
We got nothing going on really.
Glam Taro, Sweet Dream Baba, but neither of us really do.
I always
want
to do stuff. Don't follow me on Instagram because I don't do anything anymore.
We're Chuff Chat Pod on Instagram, and we're Chuff Chat Podcast on YouTube. Again, we're gonna try to figure out the Spotify and all that kind of shit.
We'll get there.
But I don't know. Yeah, we're doing our thing. What's gonna happen is one day I will get manic. And I will get manic in a way to where I will
do everything all at once.
Do all the shit to do it all at the same
That
day.
happens to me too. I always anticipate that day because that happens to me quite often. It's like a bolt of lightning.
Yeah, it's like today's the day, and like you suddenly
you can never
figure it all
expect it or
out.
plan for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll be soon for everyone. But
There with you.
until then, thank you for listening to us on
You've
YouTube.
listened to Puff Chat.
You're listening to Puff Chub.
You're listening
to Chub Pub.
Listen to Pub Pub.
You're listening to Pub Pub's Bangy Bones.
Listen to Pop Pop and the Old Boakleys.
You're listening to Boakley and the Blarney Stone. Get pissed. Kiss the piss.
Hit the shillelagh.
Hit the shillelagh. Kiss the piss.
Kiss the
Blarney Stone.
Want to get in free? Kiss the tip.
All right. Goodbye. We love you. Bye.
All right, later. Bye.
What do I need to do to convert you into being gay?